The Baltimore City Detention Center was supposed to be the last place crime could survive. Concrete, cameras, keys, rules stacked on top of rules. And still, inside those walls, something flipped. Inmates weren't just breaking rules, they were running a full criminal operation. Drugs moved in and out, cell phones lit up the tiers at night, orders were given, money changed hands. And this wasn't subtle, it went on for years. The impossible part wasn't that inmates tried to bend the system. That happens everywhere. It was who helped them. The people paid to stop it were the ones opening doors, carrying bags, looking the other way, sometimes doing much more than that. For a long time, no one on the outside could quite believe it. A jail hadn't been infiltrated. It was being controlled.
At the center of everything was Tavon White. He wasn't just an inmate, he was a leader inside the Black Guerrilla family, a gang with deep roots in Baltimore, with a reputation built on discipline and violence. White was locked up at the Baltimore City Detention Center, but his reach didn't stop at his cell door. From inside, he coordinated drug trafficking and gang activity that spilled far beyond the jail walls. Then there were the officers. More than a dozen correctional officers would eventually be charged. Among the most visible, Catherine Pugh, Jasmine Butler, Kara Washington, Shanika Harrell. Some were young, some were new, all sworn to maintain control. Instead, they became part of the operation. Federal investigators later said officers smuggled drugs, phones, cigarettes, even helped move money. In return, they were paid, sometimes cash, sometimes in ways harder to explain. Slowly, the lines blurred, until no one remembered where authority actually lived.
There was never a single meeting where everyone sat down and said, "This is how we take over a jail." It didn't work like that. It almost never does. Instead, it grew out of opportunity. Tavon White understood the environment better than anyone. He knew which officers were underpaid, who was tired, who felt invisible, who liked detention. And the jail gave him time. Nothing but time. The plan was simple enough to survive scrutiny: smuggle in contraband, sell it inside, use phones to keep control on the outside, pay the officers who helped, reward loyalty, remove risk. Each part fed the next. Money became leverage. Leverage became protection. Protection became power. And the most dangerous part was this. From the outside, everything still looked normal. The doors kept locking, counts still happened. But inside, a different system was quietly shaping shift. It began quietly. A phone here, a pack of cigarettes there. Tiny favors that seemed harmless at the time. No one imagined they were opening a door that couldn't be closed. For Tavon White, it was about testing the waters, finding officers who were overworked, underpaid, or just bored, people who could be persuaded or tempted. At first, it didn't feel criminal, just helpful. A little cash here, a little favor there. But favor after favor became habit, and habit became expectation. Drugs moved in, phones moved out, money circulated, influence grew. Everything fed everything else. The system inside the jail started to feel normal, at least to the people living in it. Outside, nothing looked different, but inside, a different set of rules was quietly taking hold. Once it started, it had its own rhythm. Nobody needed to announce it, it just moved. Phones slipped in and out, drugs too. Cash passed quietly in hallways and corners. Each time, someone got paid or got a favor. It felt like the rules didn't apply to them. Not really, not inside. The officers who went along, some liked the money, some liked the power, some were scared not to. Fear has a way of keeping people in line too. And yet, outside the jail, everything looked normal. Counts still happened, visitors came and went, meetings were held, paperwork was filled. But inside, a different logic had taken over. One favor led to another. One risk led to another.
And slowly, nobody remembered what the jail was actually supposed to be. It seemed unstoppable, until it wasn't. And then someone got sloppy. Not in a dramatic way, just a small thing. A phone got traced. One call led to another. Investigators started noticing patterns they hadn't seen before. Maybe it was luck, maybe it was overconfidence. Either way, the first real crack appeared. Up until that point, it had all been quiet, almost invisible. Now, suddenly the walls weren't so thick. Rules that had been bent suddenly mattered again. Every tiny decision felt heavier. Every handoff could be the one that blew the whole thing open. But Tavon White didn't panic, not yet. The officers tried to cover tracks, shuffle shipments, hide payments, patch holes. And for a moment, it looked like it might just hold. But mistakes, once made, have a way of multiplying. Then someone talked. Not a big confession, not a headline moment, just a quiet tip to investigators. A name dropped in passing. But it changed everything. Some officers started looking over their shoulders. Tavon White noticed little slips, packages arriving late, messages misdelivered, rumors he hadn't started. People he trusted began acting different, nervous, silent, afraid, or maybe just thinking about themselves. It's strange how quickly fear spreads in a place built on control. One doubt becomes two, one hesitation becomes a chain, and suddenly the operation that had seemed untouchable didn't feel so solid anymore. Trust, which had been everything, was now fragile. Everyone starts acting strange. Not panicking yet, just careful. People talk less, laugh less. You can feel it in the pauses, in the way hands hesitate before doing things they've done 100 times. Investigators don't storm in. They never do. They ask a few questions, then a few more, and suddenly those questions don't feel random anymore. Inside, officers start replaying old moments in their heads. That one phone, that one favor, that one time they thought, it's fine, nothing's gonna happen. And Tavon White is still in his cell, still watching, but the jail doesn't feel predictable anymore. Something is paying attention now. Nothing has collapsed yet, but the walls feel thinner. For a while, nothing really changed. That's the unsettling part. Even with people asking questions, even with tension hanging in the air, the jail kept moving the way it always had. Meals, counts, shifts ending, new shifts starting, life going on. Inside that routine, the operation kept breathing. Phones still worked, orders still went out, money still found its way to the right hands. Tavon White stayed calm, or at least appeared to. From his cell, he could still reach the outside world. That mattered. And maybe that's why no one ran, no one confessed. It still felt survivable. There's a moment in situations like this where people convince themselves they've already made it through the worst part, that whatever attention existed is fading, that they were careful enough. For a brief stretch of time, it honestly looked like they might be right. And that belief, that's what made what came next so damaging. It all came apart in the smallest ways. Not fireworks, not a raid, not a fight, just tiny mistakes that added up until they couldn't be ignored. A phone call traced back, a package that didn't reach its cell, a single officer slipping, saying a little too much. Each one alone wouldn't matter, but together they started a chain reaction. Inside the jail, the atmosphere shifted. Officers moved differently. Eyes flicked to corners they hadn't noticed before. Conversations grew shorter. Everyone sensed that someone, somewhere, was watching. Tavon White still had influence, but it was brittle now. The illusion of control was cracking, and once it started, it spread fast. There was no stopping it. For the first time, it felt like the whole operation could finally be caught. It ended quietly, almost like nobody wanted to notice. One by one, officers were questioned. Some admitted small favors at first. Then the bigger things, the smuggling, the money, the way they had let an inmate run parts of the jail. Tavon White was charged too. The man who had controlled so much from a cell was suddenly just another defendant. Power didn't save him. Influence didn't save him.
The jail, the rules he had bent, all of it collapsed. For months, the walls had hidden everything. Then the walls didn't. Evidence, witnesses, confessions, everything aligned at once. And once it started, there was no pulling it back. What had seemed untouchable finally broke.
In the end, justice caught up, but it wasn't neat. Several correctional officers went to prison. Some got probation. Their careers, reputations, and lives were gone. Tavon White faced serious federal charges. The gang's influence inside the jail was crushed, but the damage was done. The jail itself became a symbol, not just of corruption, but of how easily trust and authority can be broken when people choose money and power over responsibility. Families, inmates, the community, they all paid the price too. Fear, uncertainty, chaos had seeped through years of negligence. It wasn't just officers or one inmate who lost. Everyone trapped inside those walls felt it. And even after convictions, people still ask, how could this happen? How could a jail, a place built for order, be turned into something else entirely?